Hello and welcome back to the Heart of Amethyst. We will be continuing where we left off with Rodrick. But first, channel members! Here they are at the beginning of the video, like I said that I would do it. I kept meaning to do it, but now I'm doing it, so yay! You guys are at the beginning. Woo! Everybody can see your names now. Anyway, so back to Rodrick. So, we will be continuing where we left off, which I believe is after Ehlly was going to get some information about what was happening. He ended up talking to I believe Rodrick and Ehlly went to the church to try to see if anybody could recognize the emblem that Ehlly has. The emblem, I believe, is made in the same fashion as all the other little crests or whatever they are. I forgot what they are or what they're called. That the church has, but this one wasn't associated with that, so it kind of stuck out. And I don't remember if it was with Rodrick or with Almond, where they said, "Oh, it's probably a forgery." But like really. So if I recall correctly, Rodrick also was a little suspicious. Well, not suspicious that he was acting suspicious, but that he was a little bit like, something weird's going on. And I think before that, though, Ehlly ended up meeting his former gang and his former fling, who was trying to sort of intimidate Ehlly. But then Rodrick came to the rescue. I believe it was Rodrick. I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping that I'm not confusing it with some other route. But there was CGs for that, so yeah. But yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, I guess without further ado, let us continue Rodrick's route and see what happens. Chapter 3, The Royal Ball. It was a little past midnight and the streets were getting cold by the minute. Not long ago, a few little droplets of water started falling from the sky, meaning that he had to hurry to his destination if he didn't want to get drenched. Something that he personally hated, as his fur tended to get messy when wet. Besides, going through all the trouble of finding this idiot was infuriating enough to him. But after the events that happened at the church, and the fact that he witnessed the impossible with his very own eyes, he had little choice. He needed to find his partner and have a very long talk with him. Still, he's not even a little happy about walking through the streets this late at night. Sometimes, he just wishes that he could throw all this other life away and just live as a pastor. But there's always a new job to do, and even if he wants to, there is no way of refusing. So, for the time being, he'll just suck it up and continue walking. Eventually, he catches sight of that awful tavern. And, if there is something that he knows about his partner, it's that he never misses a chance to go to that dirty establishment. Talking about dirty, the dog feels the ever so familiar feeling of poop on his shoe as soon as he entered the alleyway. Turns out he just stepped in a huge pile of horse dung. Fantastic. Simply fantastic. I could be drinking a glass of wine by now. But no, my night had to be ruined. Why can't I have nice things? He complains as he imagines himself drinking and partying in the high castle with the rest of the aristocracy. After all, he had been invited to the prince's birthday ball, and he had been looking forward to it for months. It would be his first time being inside those fancy halls, eating that marvelous food and talking with actually decent company. His efforts, at long last, had been acknowledged. But things never go his way, do they? And that's why the dog was in such a bad mood tonight. Anyways, he wipes the poop off his shoe as best as he can before opening the door to the bar and entering. Upon entering the establishment, he could immediately smell the scent of alcohol and male sweat. He looks around to try and find his partner, but all he sees are disgusting drunks who are partying, flirting, kissing, and some are getting handsy. Truly a sight not for someone with his high standards. But he'll just have to stick with it and pretend that he doesn't mind. Same thing he's been doing since the day he was born. So, with a steel resolve and the fakest of smiles, he greets the bartender, who in turn greets him with his own polite smile. Hiya, pal. What can I serve you? Nothing of the sort, my soon friend. I'm afraid that I must refrain from drinking for the time being. Actually, I am here looking for someone. Have you by any chance heard about a man named Pro? Pro? As in big scary guy with huge muscles who comes here often and has fucked half of my clientele, Pro? The dog rolls his eyes at the nasty response of the bartender. Although he knows this to be very true, Pro has always been a pig. And to make it even worse, ever since they got those good-paying jobs, Pro has been out of control, spending most of his money and free time drinking and fucking. In any case, he fixes his face and smiles us again, nodding at the bartender. I'm sure that it's him, yes. Have you, seen him tonight? I sure have, but I don't think it's a good idea to disturb him right now. He might be a little busy. I appreciate your concern, but this is a really important matter and it can't wait. So, could you please point me to where he is? Sure, buddy. Third private room to the left, after you climb those stairs. Can't miss it. The bartender points towards the back of the establishment, where a flight of stairs can be seen just past a few drunks. Much appreciated. Now if you'll excuse me. The dog tries to act nicely, but now that he knows what he wants, there is no need to waste any more time. So before the other man can say anything else, he moves away from the counter and into the dark hall that leads to the staircase, climbing them in just a few steps as he was in a hurry. Every single inch of this place smells like men, but the closer he gets to these private rooms, the sweatier the scent becomes. And given the moans and slapping coming out of the rooms, the dog can already imagine the reason why it smells like that. Still, he really had no time to waste, so not caring about the whole situation, he carried forward. The hall of the second floor was darker than the bar itself, only a few candles lighting the place. So trying to find the right door was a hassle. Luckily for him, a ray of light illuminated the big number 3 painted on the door. Which means that, according to the bartender, this is the room where Crow is. I hope that idiot at least has some pants on. The dog says to himself as he grabs the handle and turns it, opening the door slowly. But when he finally pops his head through the gap, the scene inside the room surprises him. The following scene consists of very explicit sex material. If you're either a YouTuber, me, streamer, or you just don't enjoy this type of content, I recommend that you skip it. Skip it? Yes. With his face still a little red from the previous interaction, the dog leaned on the dirty wall and waits for the two men inside to get decent. He couldn't take the image of Crow's impressive backside off of his head. It's not like he hasn't seen it before. They've been partners for a very long time. But this is the first time that he has witnessed the Malamute with another man, and the dog never imagined that Crow would be so rough in the act. Well, he has imagined it, but those thoughts died many years ago. After all, he had work to do, and this incident was nothing but a mere distraction. A few moments pass, and then the Dalmatian exited the room. Their eyes met for a split second, but the smaller dog ducked his head in shame and walked away in a hurry. The priest took this as his cue to enter, but before he could open the door, Crow exited the room and signaled him to go downstairs. Let's go get a table, Snake. Up here really isn't the best place to have a serious talk. Ugh. He hated when people use his real name. And when he says people, he means Crow, since he's the only one that currently knows it. And ever since they left the orphanage, he's the only one who's called him that. Fine. The smaller dog said with his cheeks still fully red as they went downstairs to pick a table. Once there, Crow nervously smiled to his boss, fidgeting with his hands like the little kid that he is. Snake saw this and rolled his eyes, ready to just turn the page and forget what he just saw. If you're going to apologize about it earlier, save it. I don't care what you do with your money and your spare time. Besides, we're here to talk about business, aren't we? Yes, boss. Good, then let's start. I have some disturbing news to share with you. Now you're worrying me, boss. What could be disturbing enough to disturb you? Snake sent a dead glare to Crow, silently asking him to shut the fuck up, which he does. The kid is alive, and he's in the city. Kid? Can you elaborate? The kid that you were supposed to kill that night. The kid that you assured me was dead. 11 years ago. Remember? The night of our greatest screw-up? The smaller dog said with a completely serious expression. Angry, some would say. Crow just stared at his boss for a few seconds and then laughed. Oh, that kid. Good one, boss. I stabbed him right through the heart, so there's no way in the void that that kid still lives. I saw him with my very own eyes. He's here. And to make it worse, he's the newest king retainer, and he's already making inquiries. No way. Yes, Crow, I am being serious. No way, man. You can't pull that kind of jokes on me. Come on, be serious. I already told you, I'm being serious. We need to deal with the kid. Snake said with a certain glint in his eye, a glint that made even the big Crow shiver a little. Silence sat between the two of them for a long minute before Crow broke it with a simple yet complicated question. But how? I don't know. I'm still trying to process what I saw. Silence again. The two of them looked at each other with a conflicted expression on their eye. That carried on for a few minutes until... Gentlemen, I hope that I am not interrupting. The two men turned around towards the voice of a woman looking confused as to why she's talking to them. At first, Snake gave it no importance. After all, this was a bar, so being talked to was expected. But that's when he remembered the kind of bar that they were in, and that's when it hit him. He recognized that voice. She was... My Lady Priestess! Snake immediately lowered his head, bowing in front of the woman, who was one of the highest-ranking members of the church. Crow, on the other hand, was looking as confused as always. What's going on? The idiot asked, but Snake didn't even give him a second to process the situation because he grabbed the other male by the scruff and forced him to bow too. My lady, please forgive us. We didn't know that you would be here with us. That's why you decided to meet up with your partner in secret? Secret? Oh, heavens no. You must be confused. This is just a normal routine for the both of us. Right, Crow? Yes. Very mundane business. My lady, please forgive me. I must have taken too long to fetch him. If that were our only problem, but it seems like you two started talking about our other problem without me. The church has been tracking down the boy for a while. You have? Crow spoke. His voice was a little shaky, which showed how scared he was. Still, his curiosity got the best of him, and he wanted to know why they hadn't been punished yet. Yes, for a while now. Ever since the failed regicide a month ago. So the church knew all along? Snake couldn't help but wonder how much they didn't actually know. There were reports of a young white fox with purple marks on his body, so of course we had to confirm it for ourselves. Now imagine our surprise when the informant guaranteed us that the boy was indeed Ehlly. Not even the council knew what to do. We didn't know, my lady. We swear. Of course you didn't know. Nobody did. Luckily for you, the council has already made a plan to deal with this irregularity. Just say the word and the little bastard is dead. The woman sighed, and even when they can see her face, they can hear the disappointment in her voice. As I was saying, the presence of his boy is an unexpected anomaly. But as unexpected as it may be, this is also a great opportunity that we can't afford to lose. Opportunity? 10 years ago, you failed in recovering the heart of Amethyst, and to make it all worse, you killed the only one who might have known where it was. Now this person turned out to be alive. That's why our organization can't afford to lose this chance, can we? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The two men said without hesitation, as they knew that if they disobeyed or asked too many questions, their lives could be in danger. The next following days are very important, so you must stand by and be ready for anything. Did I make myself clear? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Our plan has already been set in motion. In the following days, you two will be given further instructions. I hope that you don't disappoint for both your sakes. With that threat floating in the air, the woman vanished in the shadows, leaving them with a heavy heart. They didn't speak a word or even muster a sound. They just knew. They knew. They ought to be ready for what's coming. As Rodrick walks in front of me, I start to trail behind his fast steps, as many concerns start to burden my mind. If what Rodrick had said is true, I am already balls deep in a lot of trouble. The church will make sure to make my life a living hell, making my mission to find my sister a lot harder. My only hope is the knight walking 10 steps ahead of me, who seems to be getting annoyed at my attitude. So he comes back and grabs me by the wrist, forcing me to move forward. I complained, but eventually gave in, keeping up the pace and trying to push all those thoughts aside. At least for tonight. Once we made it there, I immediately am astonished by the beauty of the structure in front of me. It's so big that it might as well be touching the sky, giving the building an air of grandeur. At the same time, every single corner of the castle seems very well taken care of. There is not a single spot or stain in any of its walls. The metallic inscriptions and decorations shine like pearls. All the banners hanging from it have not been shredded in any sort of way, and the marble statue that decorates the center of the garden ends the whole display on a high note. Simply a work of art that cannot be compared to anything I've seen before, not even the castle back in Rose Island. This way. The wolf says, snapping me out of my thoughts. He's once more a few steps ahead of me, which makes me groan as I want to take in all of this new environment. Please wait just a minute. To my surprise, the man actually stops on his tracks and turns around. What is it now? Need to pee or something? What? No, it's not that. He laughs at my expense, and I can't help but blush from the embarrassment. You're such an ass sometimes. Rodrick just shrugs it off and then looks into the crowd of people that have formed in front of the castle gates. I turn my gaze in that direction too, and then can't help but ask him, "This sure is the event of the year, right?" "I suppose it is." I giggle at Roderick's bluntness, but the wolf just grunts. He clearly doesn't find it funny. "It's not really that big of a deal. Just your typical feast, accompanied by some dancing and lots of talking." "Well, it may not be a big deal for you, but I don't think that I'll ever get used to this environment." "You'll do fine. You'll have a week to get used to it." "Huh? What do you mean? Weren't we just staying for the night?" "As long as my orders go, we will remain in this castle for an entire week, starting tomorrow." "Whose orders?" "The king's directly. Why? Got a problem?" No, not at all. It's just unexpected. The king doesn't strike me as the kind of man that would just forget about stuff like this, and this is too perfect to be a coincidence. There must be a hidden reason behind his actions, I'm sure. In any case, I decide not to dwell on it as I follow Rodrick into the castle. Rodrick moves among the crowd with ease. Me, on the other hand, am struggling a little as I'm getting pushed around more than usual. Luckily for me, the wolf sees this and grabs me by the wrist once more, making way among the people and getting us out of there. While I'm thankful for getting me out from all the people, my wrist hurts a little since he is not exactly being gentle. Still, he won't hear me complaining about it. "This way." Rodrick guides me to an entrance furthest away from the main one, in which a knight is standing guard. "Identify yourselves." The man's rough exterior made me feel a little uneasy, but of course that didn't affect Rodrick one bit. With his usual commanding attitude, the Black Wolf stands in front of the guard and looks down at him as he speaks. "Have your eyes gone bad, soldier? Look at the crest on my chest and tell me that you don't recognize it." My apologies, sir. It's quite dark." The man seems intimidated by the wolf, which I can totally relate to, but before he could muster another word, a shy voice interrupted their conversation. "Yes, let them through, please." To my delight, a known face makes his appearance from behind the big guard. The small dog seems as nervous as always, but he manages to spare me a smile as he sees me. "Very well, this way, please." The guard opens a wooden door that leads to a dark hallway, illuminated only by a few candles. "Go on, Runt. I must speak to the guards and perform my duties before attending the party." "Try not to be a burden for the king." I nod to that and then enter the hallway, waving my hand to him before the door closes. Before I can muster a word, I get dragged through the endless corridor within the castle. This is far darker than I expected, making me feel a little nervous. Zack explains that we are beneath the main halls, some sort of secret passage that, according to him, are not really secret at all. "And what are these used for?" Mostly for moving around. The servants in the main castle have many tasks to perform daily, so these help with getting from one place to another more effectively. Although you may need to learn the layout first. Goddesses know that I got lost so many times as a rookie. "You used to work here?" "Yes. I was adopted by the royal family when I was just a baby. I was an orphan and they, raised me to be what I am. I owe them a lot." "So you've been working as a butler since you were a kid?" "Not that you're not a kid now. I mean, even younger." "Yeah, since I was 5. Aw, I would pay to see you in your cute little butler outfit. You must have been such a cute kid." Zack refrains from saying something. Instead, he just whines like a little puppy, his cheeks burning bright red even through the darkness of the hallway. In any case, the conversation dies there as we reach a changing room, which, according to Zach, we will use to get me into my party attire. The place is not very spacious, but I don't get much time to explore as the little butler insists for me to get on my underwear. I'm about to make a dirty joke about that, but he seems in a hurry, so I refrain from it. I do as he says and strip my dirty clothes, dropping them on the ground. He then proceeds to spray me with a heavy-smelling cologne that almost drowns me. The scent is so strong that I swear that it made me tear up. But before I can catch my breath, he puts layer after layer of clothes on top of me, each more tight than the previous one. Master, please stay still. I need to button this. Buddy, if you do that, I might suffocate. And I wish I were joking, but I am not. This gotta be the most uncomfortable attire that I've ever worn. Like, seriously, who would put this on willingly? We're almost done. Please be patient. Just get it over with, buddy. Yes, just one last strap and... He tightens the last piece of clothing around my back and my chest, and I promised you I heard my ribs cracking. There, all done. You're looking dashing, sir. I can't breathe. After suffering through that, I exited the room and headed towards the main hall. Zach left my side before I made it to the door. He told me that he wasn't allowed there, as only the top butlers and maids were able to serve in big parties. Makes sense. After all, he's just an apprentice. So I said my goodbyes to him with a hug and left him be. Goddesses know the poor kid must be super busy. Now back to the present. I'm standing in front of the door to the main hall, which is enormous. Almost as big as a 3-story house. I wait in front of it for a few seconds before I notice that the guests are not actually entering through the door, but rather a smaller side door to the right. I wonder why you'd even build such a big door. I mean, if you're not gonna use it, why put it here in the first place? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, so not wishing to waste any more time, I move in line with the rest of them. By the door, there is a fancy-looking Samoyed butler picking up invitations. And as I notice that I don't have one of those, I start to panic. I have no invitation. I was never given one. What am I supposed to do? Do I try to find one of the others? Or is there another entrance for the retainers? My mind starts to race, but before I can do something about it, I find myself in front of the line. A very tired Samoyed looking down at me. Invitation? He coldly says, extending his hand towards me. Don't have one, sir. He lifts his eyebrow at me and then sighs. Name? Ehlly? Ehlly Biscotti? Sir Biscotti, come in. King's retainers don't need an invitation. I hear some murmurs behind me, people talking about what's taking so long and criticizing me for wasting their time. I try to give them no importance, but they start to bluntly say some nasty things. So the rumors were true. Yes, he's a commoner that almost killed the king. What is this world coming to? A nasty commoner like him walking on these grounds? I've heard that all the king retainers are freaks like him. What is that man thinking? That old man is totally losing it. We need the prince to step up and quick. I don't want to accept it, but I feel crushed under the avalanche of negative comments coming my way. I turn around trying to find the ones who said those things, but I'm only met with hateful expressions and judging gazes. Sir, please move along. The butler placed his hand on my shoulder and kindly directed me into the main hall. I can still feel their gazes glued to the back of my head. Those eyes who silently tell me, you don't belong here. I still remember the feeling of entering a throne room for the first time. Places designed with the sole purpose of making everyone feel insignificant except for the one sitting on the silver chair. Well, I can take that feeling and shove it up my ass. This place is twice as big and 10 times fancier than the throne room back in Laguna Castle. The walls seem to be made out of white gold and jewels. And as you walk, you get the feeling of stepping on diamonds as the tiles shine as if you look up, you'll be met by beautiful paintings splattered all over the ceiling, which is being held by many rows of chiseled pillars carved to perfection by the artists. Finally, my attention is drawn to the end of the room, where an enormous golden statue guards the throne, in which currently no one is sitting. I move around the room trying to remain close to the walls, as I don't want to get swallowed by the sea of people. They are all nobles of different races and backgrounds. Some of them are dancing to the music of the orchestra, but most are engaging in lively conversation. And of course, there are some loners like myself, just standing around and looking in the direction of the crowd. Now, here's when I ask myself, what should I do? All I can think about is how not to embarrass myself again. Maybe I could try dancing, although it looks a little complicated for me. Or I could try socializing with the royals, but I honestly don't think that I have anything in common with them. There is always the option to go get a snack. I'm feeling quite hungry after all. My mind races as I try to decide on what to do, going through the many different outcomes and possibilities. And most of them end in a very bad note. I let my stomach decide for me, and before I can notice, I am moving towards the banquet. Lobster, beef, chicken, soups, pigs, fruits, salad, and many other things. I stand there with my plate in hand, staring at the overwhelming amount of food on the table. There are so many options that I can't decide what to take. Should I perhaps try the lobster? It would be a first for me. But what if I don't like it? I don't want to throw away food. All my instincts tell me that it's a big no-no. Maybe it'll be better if I just stick with what I know. After all, you can never go wrong with beef. Meat has always been my favorite, and there are many appetizing plates sitting in front of me. Before I can take anything though, my attention is drawn towards my right, to a group of people who are chatting happily. In the middle of them all, there is a middle-aged fellow around the same age as Mr. Biscotti, give or take. But the man itself is not what calls my attention. What really piques my interest is the crest hanging from his neck. He's from the church. And given how the other royals are fawning over him, I would bet all my life that he is a big deal. As curiosity took over me, I started to slowly approach the group, pretending to be mostly interested in the food and not them. My Lord Cardinal, did you get the donation my family sent you? We were hoping to help the needy with it, but if you need more, don't hesitate to ask, said a female royal who had a sober expression, making me almost puke. Suck up. If you want to do a nice deed, there is no need to announce it to the whole town. Now then, did she say Cardinal? Wait, does that mean that he's only one step under the Holy Messenger itself? He's one of the highest-ranking members of the church. The inner circle of cardinals. Now I see why all these people are surrounding him like hungry wolves ready to leap at him. And what about your work with those barbarians, Your Holiness? Are we really safe? My family's fields are close to the border, and we always fear that those monsters will attack us. I assure you, your fields are safe. I keep a constant eye on the Crusaders' work. The barbarians will not trouble us. Have faith in the church's work. The royal sighs in relief, sipping on his glass of wine. Have faith in the church, he says. What a joke. By the way, Your Holiness, have you heard the rumors about those pillow biters? Isn't there anything the church can do to fix them? A knot forms in the back of my throat as I hear that royal woman say those words. I clench my fist and try to act cool, but I really want to bash her head against the table and break her nose. Keep it cool, Ehlly. I've heard that there's even bars and hotels where there's heathens meet. How disgusting. So? What's it to you, bitch? Why can't you just leave us alone? Perhaps torture would be the better method to teach them a lesson. Some of them are too far gone. A nobleman intervenes. I have a better idea. What if I take this glass and shove it up your... Those poor souls have lost their way, brother. They are trailing off from the path of the goddesses. If nothing, we should pity them, not torture them. And I assure you, the church's members are working their hardest to set them straight. We will help them see the light. We didn't ask to be born this way. They don't know what it's like. To be hunted down just for the things you like. We just want to live our lives and be left alone. Why is it so hard to understand? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an appointment with a roasted beef. All the royals make their way for the Cardinal, letting him pass. It took me a second to notice, but he is now standing next to me. I thought about running, but that would look too suspicious, wouldn't it? But what am I supposed to do? I don't want him to notice me. The man standing beside me picks up a plate and grabs some meat from the buffet. I remain motionless, trying not to make eye contact with him. Although that would be impossible since he's got his eyes covered by a red cloth. Is he blind? Maybe it's safe to give him a few looks. It's not like he's going to notice or anything. So I decide to give him a few subtle peeks. At first glance, he looks like a normal coyote, albeit a little overweight. But upon closer inspection, I can notice a few key details. For starters, it seems like his right arm has been chopped off entirely, as I don't manage to see it even underneath that cape of his. Aside from that, he's got a very big scar that covers part of his face. And those two things lead me to guess that this man was a warrior at some point in his life. Which makes sense given the fact that he's got the emblem of the Crusaders strapped to his belt. That makes me wonder how he lost his arm, though. Quite the feast, wouldn't you agree? The man suddenly says. I look around trying to find the person that he's speaking to, but I see no one. Could he be speaking to me? Did he notice my presence? Or is he just speaking at the air? Excuse me. Are you talking to me? Who else? I don't see anyone around. The man joked, clearly indicating that he can't see. I nervously chuckle, not wanting to make the situation more awkward. Yeah, it's all right. Food's good. His ears twitch for a moment as he turns towards me. That accent. Are you from the Undercity, perhaps? I place my right hand on my throat, as if that would make me speak any differently. Was it really that bad? I've been practicing my noble speech after all. I don't know what to say, so I just remain quiet as I grab some more food. Oh, my apologies. Did I make you uncomfortable? I didn't mean it in a bad way, of course. I just thought to start a conversation. Now I feel a little embarrassed. Am I being a jerk? No, it's okay. No need to apologize. You believe that I was looking down on you? Like you don't belong here? I silently gasp at the man's comment, unable to formulate an answer. When I was a commander, I used to find many youth like you. They felt like they didn't belong anywhere. Until they found their calling at the service of the goddesses. Could you perhaps be interested? I must decline, Your Holiness. Cassian is fine. Yeah, Sir Cassian. As I was saying, I must decline. I already have a calling of my own. The man smiles at me, tilting his head in my direction. Ah, what a pity. You would make a great addition to our ranks. The man continues to grab food, placing it all on his plate. He must really enjoy eating, as his plate can barely hold anything else. That, or he's not aware of how much food there is already. Really? How can you tell? The coyote seemed perplexed by my question, but he just smiles and finally stops taking food. Your aura. There's something unique about you. Aura? Unique? Yes, it is a mixture of many things. What the actual heck? What is this man talking about? Is he high? And now you seem confused. Allow me to explain. When the goddesses take our sight, they bless us with the gift of insight. So you are blind. I cover my mouth in shame, noticing that I might have said something insulting to him. But the coyote just laughs and shrugs it off. Blind as a mole, yes, but I can see so much. A lot more than when I had eyes. Had eyes? Does that mean that the church scooped them out of his sockets? Oh my, did I spook you? No, I'm just surprised. That's all. It's a tradition. The three cardinals must lose their sight to gain the gift of the goddesses. Besides, who sees no evil does no evil, right? Yeah, of course. Well, I'm not sure how the saying goes, but whatever makes him feel good. Still, I think it's crazy. I could never go through such a thing. By the way, what is your name? You have yet to introduce yourself. Oh shit, should I tell him my real name? I don't know if that's a good idea given the fact that I am conducting an investigation on the church. I'm Anthony. Well, nice to meet you, Anthony. Likewise. I am sweating buckets trying to come up with something to say. Unfortunately, I literally have nothing in mind to talk about. As I'm about to give up, I feel a strong grip press against my shoulder. I look behind me and there he is, my savior. Thank goddesses, someone I know showed up. Rodrick looks very fancy, rocking a fur-based coat, a brownish cap, and a suit. I offer him a relieved smile as a token of my appreciation for saving me from the situation, but instead of smiling back or even acknowledging me, the wolf keeps his gaze on Cassian. Seems like we have company, Anthony. Long time no see, Rodrick. Weird he says that, because he can't. Ah, I forgot. I'm too confused to try and explain this joke. What's going on? How does he know Rodrick? Because of his aura? But wait, how does he know his name? Do these two know each other? Cassian. Blunt as always, don't you? The wolf gives Cassian a death stare and a growl. I can cut the tension with a knife. Rodrick with his typical aggressive attitude and Cassian with his condescending smirk. I really want to ask Rodrick what his deal is, but as I'm about to open my mouth, the bigger male tightens his grip on my shoulder. What are you doing here? Me? Enjoying the good food and the good company, of course. He looks, turns in my direction as he says that. I wouldn't miss this celebration for the world. The coyote's smirk widens in a way that almost seems mocking. Meanwhile, Rodrick growls at him, keeping his eyes on the man at all times. It feels like he is sizing him, as if he thought the Cardinal will jump and attack us at any moment. Meanwhile, I just stand there, as still as a statue, unable to comprehend what's going on. Come, we're leaving. Huh? We're leaving. The wolf grabs my wrist and pretty much forces me away from the coyote. I look up at Rodrick, trying to tell him with my eyes to let me go, but he was not looking at me at all. He was just staring at the door. I'll see you soon, Anthony, Cassian said with a smile that gives me chills. Rodrick dragged me out of the castle and onto the gardens. Once there, he hides us behind a wall and places one hand on each side of my head, covering me with his huge body. He keeps us very close to the wall in an attempt to not drag any unwanted attention to ourselves. He is currently saying nothing. He just looks at me intensely, his eyes never leaving mine. I can feel the heat of his body seeping into mine as we're extremely close to each other. Aside from that, the agitated breath of the man hits against my nose, his face mere inches away from mine. And to top it off, his scent is extremely intoxicating. It's very earthly and masculine, but he's tried to mask with a vanilla-scented cologne. His musk mixes with the vanilla, creating a new scent which is both sweet and bitter. I try to mask the fact that I am enjoying being so close to him, but I'm honestly getting lightheaded. And I'm sure that I must be blushing at least a little. I continue to remain speechless, waiting for the man to say something, or at least make a sound, but he doesn't. What's gotten into him? I can't read him at all. I have so many questions. Are you okay? His voice is calm and it doesn't carry any anger, which is weird. For a second there, I thought that he was mad, furious even. I mean, he found me talking with the Cardinal of the church right after he told me to keep the distance. I thought he was going to yell at me, snap at me. But all this time, he was worried. What were you thinking talking to a man like that, Runt? I'm sorry. I didn't know who he was, and before I could notice, I was trapped in a conversation with him. The wolf sighs deeply, looking at me with a mixture of annoyance and worry in his eyes. What did you two talk about? It was a weird conversation, to be honest. We started talking about food, then he asked me where I was from. After that, he just started to rant about the calling of the church and some sort of ritual in which they take your eyes off. It was honestly very creepy. Did you say anything to him about who you were or what your intentions are? No, nothing at all. I even introduced myself with a fake name. Good. Good. Although, he must likely already know who you are. After all, nothing that happens in the church goes past the three of them. Cardinals? Rodrick nods to my question and then sighs deeply once more. They are the highest authority inside the church. There is nothing that they don't know, and nothing happens without the three of them being involved somehow. Cassian, the Cardinal of Strength, and Grimmune's chosen one. That is his full title. What about the other two? Are they here as well? Rodrick ponders for a moment and then shakes his head in denial. Celeste and Mika. No, I don't think so. I haven't seen them, and it is not usual for the Cardinals to leave the Holy Land. So I'm guessing Cassian is here for a good reason. You know it? No, I have no clue, Runt. Wow, this is the most Rodrick has ever talked to me. I guess he's really into this whole go against the church's business, or maybe there is something deeper that I don't know yet. Now that makes me wonder. Do you have a history with this Cassian fella? Rodrick tenses for a second, his face showing a mix of disgust and fear. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. It's probably a touchy subject for him. I really want to know, though. Nah, he's the type of person that you don't push. Hey, it's okay, man. You don't have to tell me. I press my hand against his beating chest. His heart is going so fast that I believe that it might explode. Slowly, the wolf relaxes, and then he returns to his normal behavior. I look into his eyes once more, and now my heart skips a beat. There was a certain sadness and a longing in them that I've never seen before. No, wait, scratch that. I've seen it a few times. Every time that he looks into that ring on his neck, he has the same look in his eyes. Thank you. He doesn't elaborate or say anything else. He just moves a few steps away from me. All right, get your ass moving, runt. I suspect the king wants us to be by his side at the time of the prince's arrival. It should be soon. My cheeks are probably still a little red from our previous interaction, but I try to play it cool and act as if nothing happened. Got it. I'll, go back there then. The wolf grunts and then turns around, not sparing me another word as he walks back to the ground hall. I, on the other hand, decide to remain there for a little longer, trying to compose myself. He was so close. Mere inches. If I had pressed just a bit forward, he could have... I slapped myself in the face softly with both hands. Gotta focus on tonight. There's no time to think about stuff like this. There are many other things that I have to worry about. And one of them is to find my way back to that ball. To be continued. Just for this update, the new codex content can be viewed here. I need to fix that. Oh, wow. That was a lot of writing. I'm exhausted. But it was totally worth it, though, as we finally got to see some very important characters for the story to come. Talking about those, did you like them? What are your thoughts on the newcomers? They each have an important role in the story. You'll just have to wait and find out. On another note, this is the first update in which the new sprites are implemented. Took me a while to make them and program them, but I like them. They look a lot more like I had envisioned them when I started writing Heart of Amethyst. In any case, I'm really happy to be working on this project again. I had forgotten how good it feels to see my boys in action. I'm really sorry for taking so long, and I'll try my hardest to not let it happen again. Thank you so much for all the patience. Especially to my patrons, who continue supporting me even though the updates and news were very scarce. You guys are the best. Anyway, I've talked long enough and there's nothing much to say anymore. Hee hee. So as always, here's my Patreon if you want to support me. There, and here's my Twitter in case you want to follow my social media. Don't forget to rate this project 5 stars on itch.io if you haven't yet. Have an amazing day and a great week. Love you all. See you next time. So, that was the update for Rodrick, and depending on how much each route shares with each route, I will be cutting and pasting to make my life easier, because I am going to be reading all 3 of them today. So the first part where you meet the one that I think is an Australian Shepherd and the Malamute, depending on which route you have seen, you will recognize the Malamute or you will recognize the Australian Shepherd. I believe for Rodrick's route, the Australian Shepherd is the one that you talk to and inquire about the medal. And for Almond, you end up meeting the Malamute. For Ehlly, you don't meet either of them. So I suppose it was a bit of a surprise for Snake to see Ehlly alive and well, and, you know, asking about them, more or less. So, like, I mean, it made sense that they have to deal with him now. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to deal with him, but, you know, I guess they're going to have to deal with him. It's obvious that the church was involved because, I mean, the High Priestess shows up, and then one of the Cardinals is apparently, like, they have their eye on him, on Ehlly. And then, well, the High Priestess being, like, the major a major player in the church is talking to some, I guess you could call them mercenaries in a way, um, who, well, who they tasked with killing these people, well, killing him, killing his mom, and then stealing the heart of Amethyst, which we don't know what it is for yet. Like, so obviously the church is not good. So there's a conspiracy there. How they plan to deal with Ehlly is not known yet. Although, I'm thinking kidnapping, probably. That's probably one of the things that they're gonna do. I mean, like, they need to find out what he did with the Heart of Amethyst. So, yeah, they're probably gonna have to kidnap him. Since there's 3 Cardinals and there's 3 retainers aside from Ehlly, I'm wondering if they're gonna show up, since I haven't yet read the other ones, so I suppose I'll find out as soon as I start reading the other 2. What else? What else? I mean, obviously there was going to be some classism. You know, there's always classism with royalty, with nobility. I mean, he's the king's retainer, so you kind of have to keep your mouth shut too, because he technically has a higher status than you do, because he is literally working for the king, where you are just nobility. So I'm pretty sure they think that they're untouchable, but like, if the king wants to, he can make your life very difficult. So, you know, like, I know the church also is, they have a big role to play in society, but like, the king is still the king, at least in this setting. If we're talking about, you know, nowadays, a king is just a figurehead. You know, you're just there to make your country look nice. You're a tourist attraction, basically. Anyways, so yeah. Write down in the comments what you think, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Heart of Amethyst yourself, then you can do so by going down into the link in the description for the creator's Twitter page, for Jaden's Twitter page, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it yourself, or you can just go to itch.io and download it yourself. And I will also be posting down a link for the Patreon where, you know, you can get early access to builds of Heart of Amethyst as they are updated. Hopefully they are updated more frequently now that Jaden is back to working on it. He's been busy. He has a life too, you know, education and stuff. You know, also he was sick. Not that you need to know that, but anyways, yeah, so, all pertinent links in the description, and I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.